Buenas noches a todos. Comenzaremos en 5 a 7 minutos aproximadamente. Ok, buenas noches. I want to thank everybody for being here. This is a special time for our students and parents. For me, I want to thank our head of school, Cecilia Marquez, our secondary principal, Samuel Ortiz, Natalia Doron, our college counselor, for being here with me and with us. This has been a dream that I have a lot of years. Have the chance to offer this kind of conversation, not only for the students, also for the parents. Okay, we are in a point right now in school where we have around 66 teams, and we start impacting our students from the athletic department since first grade with clinics, and we have 12 sports. And when we talk about sports, at the end of my story, or these years, I've been learning that I have the responsibility to find the information and put it available for the parents in order to be successful or be in position, ¿verdad?, to help their child. So it is my dream, like I said at the beginning, to have this special time with you because they need it. They need it, okay? I know for sure that I have a lot of students here that if they have a game tomorrow, if they got a game tomorrow or a big game tomorrow, they go to bed thinking in their opponent, thinking in special players from the other team, and those moments are the ones that they make them be a better next day. Okay, and just for those kind of little details, make me feel like this is the right time to do it. St. John's and other schools have the chance to impact their students through the athletic department, but at the same time, when we talk about sport in high school, this is the better moment to show them that the sports in high school are the extension of the classroom. And with a good combination from sports, also from the books, they could have a good results or a good outcome. Now, you're not here to listen to me. You're here because I have the chance to meet a long time ago a good friend that sport always give you, Coach Matt. He's gonna be talking with you and covering all the possible questions that we have. Thank you, Matt, for being here with us. Now, unas cuantas palabras en español para los invitados que tenemos, por si acaso. De todas formas, mi nombre es Luis Camacho, director atlético del colegio. Esto era uno de mis grandes sueños hace muchos años atrás. Llevo en el colegio una vida, 26, 25 años, y el deporte me ha regalado mucho y siento que estaba yo en deuda. Y gracias a la administración tenemos la oportunidad de tener un gran recurso. Pienso de que va a ser un gran momento para nuestros estudiantes como para los padres, adquirir información y ponernos en posición, ¿verdad?, de poder ayudar a nuestros hijos. Agradezco profundamente que hayan estado aquí con nosotros. La conferencia va a quedar grabada para futuras ocasiones, poderla volver a ver dentro de nuestra plataforma. No recuerdo exactamente dónde es que va a estar, pero va a estar, así que me lo pongo como asignación para ponerlo disponible. Gracias un millón por estar aquí con nosotros. Adelante.
Buenas tardes. Mi esposa de donde Venezuela, pero mi español es muy mal. I actually lived here for 2 years. My wife worked for Evertech in Banco Popular, and we lived here for about 2 years. I was a very bad husband because when that little storm called Maria went through here, I was in San Francisco working. And my wife wasn't happy with me for a long time when that happened. So people on the mainland really have no idea what everybody was able to overcome. But thank you to Luis, to Camacho for having me in. I really appreciate it. I've driven by your school many, many times. This is the first time that I've had the opportunity to be here. I'm one of the partners in the Caribbean Volleyball Championship. Have you guys anybody had a chance to play in that? Thank you guys for joining us. My responsibility are I live in Hawaii, so we say mainland, everybody from the United States. So if you hear me say mainland, it's a throwback to the Hawaii language right now. So if you have any problems with any of the mainland teams next year, come see me, I'll kick them out of the tournament, okay? So that's my job. But a little bit about myself. I was fortunate enough to have played volleyball at UCLA. Back in the day, we had won 2 national championships, and I was a 3-time All-American. I was a setter. After UCLA, I joined the United States national team, played professional volleyball in Europe, and then played for about 5 years on the AVP Pro Beach Volleyball Tour. So I don't know if you've ever seen that on TV, all those really young, fit, tan, good-looking guys. Yeah, I used to be one of those, and then I got old, so I got into coaching. And for 15 years, I was a Division I head volleyball coach at the University of Iowa, the University of Tulsa, Louisiana Tech. I've also been the assistant volleyball coach at the University of Iowa, at Clemson University and UC Santa Barbara. I coached Division II volleyball in South Carolina, NAIA volleyball in Kansas, and then my father was actually a Division III volleyball coach for about 20 years. So one way or another, my whole professional experience has been collegiate athletics. After I stepped away from coaching, I started working for the largest recruiting service in the United States, and you might have heard of it. I won't say their name, but they're very large. They handle all the sports, great technology. So I was their director of volleyball for about 9 years. I transitioned out and started championship combines. If you come to the combine at the event, I don't know, at the Caribbean Volleyball Championship, the combine the night before, that's actually my company. That received a lot of great attention from the colleges in the United States. We streamed it. We had a few schools down. We'll be doing that again this year. And then we started a recruiting service called Athletic Recruiting Counselors that's very small and very hands-on. We're very integrated with helping the family. And then once again, with the Caribbean Volleyball Championship is what we do as my other job. So, and of course, you're all welcome to visit me in Hawaii, all right? It's just a short flight to get there. So I'm gonna roll through a whole lot of terminology with you guys in all the sports, and we're targeting the main sports. So I've tried to list a lot of the key terms on the handout. If you need more handouts, please grab those. Please take notes. I've tried to make this as comprehensive. The thing with collegiate athletics is it's a term that we use, collegiate athletics, but it has many organizations. There's a lot of opportunities, but it can be overwhelming. So I'm going to try and hit you with a lot of information. So collegiate sports in the United States, everybody's heard of the NC2A. Okay, we see that football's going on right now. The bowls are going on, the NC2A. And then the NC2A has 3 divisions. Division I, those are the schools we see on TV. You know, Florida, Florida State, University of Miami, UCLA, where I went, the Evil School, USC. That's the rival. We also call them the University of Spoiled Children, or my favorite is the University of Second Choice. It's a little educational joke there. So NC2A Division I, Division II, and Division III. That's the NC2A. And then NAIA is National Association of Intercollegiate Athletics. I was an NAIA coach for 2 seasons. It was great. Good scholarships, good support, but it's a completely different organization. And then junior college. Junior college can be a little confusing because there's the big national organization, National Junior College Athletic Association, schools all across the United States. And then there's 2 smaller organizations, one in California and one in Oregon. California ones are great. My daughter went to SMC, Santa Monica College. She transferred from Santa Monica to UCLA. She's there right now. The only problem or the challenge with the NJ or with the California community colleges is their rules don't allow scholarships for athletes. So you have to be aware of that. And then there's other collegiate sport organizations that either because of their religious backing or their financial situation or something, they don't want to be a part of the NC2A or the NAIA, but they're still collegiate athletics at scholarship well. So if we break down the NC2A Division I, okay, this is the high-profile colleges, especially during the fall with football and everything. These are the ones that get all the media conference. They're the SEC, the Big 10, the Big 12. They get a lot of support. The athletes tend to be tall and elite. You know, they're the taller kids. You know, in basketball, the centers are 7 feet tall. In volleyball, the middle blockers for the girls in the elite conferences are my height, 6'2", 6'3", 6'4". They tend to be just taller student athletes. It is a huge time commitment to be a Division I athlete. So one of the reasons that I got out of Division I coaching is because it takes up so much time. It is a full-time job. If you're going to play Division I sports, yeah, you get a lot of support, you get a lot of cool Nike stuff, and you're taking charter buses around, but you're putting in 30 to 40 hours a week continuously playing volleyball. It is, or basketball or baseball or tennis, it is your only life on campus. We'll say, oh yeah, it's for the academics. No, you're there to play sports, and then you do school secondary. Just be aware of that. That's part of the thing. 352 schools and 50 states. Okay, all 50 states have it. 352 Division I schools. NC2A Division II, same sports as D1. So if a school writes you as a D2 school, it's the same sports as Division I. There's nothing there. They just tend to be a little bit shorter and a little bit athletic. Raise your hand if you guys play volleyball. Anybody, lots of volleyball, good. Basketball, good. Baseball, lacrosse, no. Ice hockey, probably not. Okay, so lots of volleyball and basketball, so I'll kind of target that. In volleyball, on the men's side, I was just in the gym at UCLA. I was pretty good, and I'm pretty tall, and I felt like a little libero in the men's gym. The middles are 6'9", 6'10", on the men's side. Division II men's volleyball, the middles are 6'2", 6'3". Okay, so they drop down. Same with Division I women's volleyball. The middles and Division I volleyball are 6'4", 6'5". Division II, 6'1", 6'2". So everything drops down. It's still very high level. It's still very competitive. They have different scholarship support levels. I'll explain that in a bit. There's 306 schools in 45 states and Puerto Rico. NC2A Division III. My father, once again, was a Division III coach in Grinnell, Iowa. You've probably not heard of Grinnell, but has anybody heard of Intel, the microchip in all our computers? Somebody from Grinnell invented the microchip. So Grinnell College's endowment is like $600 billion because they bought Intel stock. But Division III, same sports as Division I, Division II. The difference with Division III, and this is important, academics is the focus. You're there for school, and sports are part of the total package, but it's very much school, school, school. No athletic scholarships. They still have all the other scholarships, but they don't have sports scholarships. If you go D3, it's because you're super smart. You're going to be a doctor, you're going to be a lawyer, you're going to be an engineer, but you still want to be an athlete. You still want to play ball. So definitely look at Division III. They tend to be smaller campuses, smaller schools, smaller student population, but they actually are the largest. They have 441 schools in 36 states. They're very heavy through the Midwest to the East Coast, especially the Northeast has a lot of Division III schools. And then the NAIA, once again, completely different governing body. Really, the only difference between the NAIA and the NC2A is the NAIA logo is red, and they're not on TV every weekend. The NC2A logo is blue, and they're on TV every weekend. So they're not with the NC2A. It's a completely different governing body. Similar type of athletes and scholarships to Division II. So when you think NAIA, think Division II. And I've coached both levels, and the teams were interchangeable, the facilities were interchangeable, and the scholarships were interchangeable. Same sports, they don't sponsor anything different. 250 schools in 37 states. They tend to be a little bit more based in the Midwest, the upper Midwest. Not so much West Coast, East Coast, kind of in the Midwest. And then we have the JCs, same sports as the NC2A and NAIA, 500 plus schools in 44 states. It gets a little confusing with the scholarships and the sports because the NJCAA is actually divided into 3 levels, kind of like the NC2A, Division I, Division II, and Division III. JCs do the same thing. There are additional schools out west in Oregon and California once again, but they don't offer athletic scholarships. Many athletes that I had on my teams as a college coach started at a junior college, and it's a little bit of a shift. Parents, when we were all young and beautiful, there was a little bit of a stigma to go to a JC. It's like, oh, you go to a JC because you weren't good enough to go to a 4-year school or you weren't smart enough. Those days are dead. So many coaches love to recruit JC athletes because we're bringing in college kids, not knucklehead freshmen. So we're looking at college grades, college stats, college video. I usually had 3 to 4 JC athletes on my teams at all times when I was a 4-year coach. So always be aware of the junior colleges. And then there's other governing bodies. USCAA, they tend to be up in the northeast, 72 schools, various scholarships. The National Christian Collegiate Athletic Association, NCCAA, they're all across the U.S., various scholarship opportunities. Once again, I know a lot of them sponsor volleyball, beach volleyball, basketball, but those are different governing organizations. So if you come upon a school and it doesn't have the NC2A logo, don't freak out. It's probably one of these other schools. All right, now the part that is very important, the scholarship terminology. I didn't go to UCLA because I was smart, and I didn't go there because my parents were rich. I went there because I got in because of volleyball, and volleyball paid for my school. So I'm always very hyper aware of that situation. These terminologies are very important as you start to enter the recruiting process. Full athletic scholarship, okay? They call it a full. Oh, I'm on a full. So if you're watching Duke play basketball, or you're watching Florida State play football, or Florida play volleyball, all those kids on that floor that you're seeing, they receive a full athletic scholarship. Once again, it pretty much covers everything, okay? Everything when you're on campus. A partial athletic scholarship is any amount less than a full, okay? And you can take that a bit of money and apply it to your tuition, to your books and fees, to your room and board. The school will tell you what you can do with it, but it's up to a full. It just doesn't cover everything. Then there are academic scholarships. Okay, the level of scholarship depends, and this is per school. So UCLA offers academic scholarships. North Carolina offers academic scholarships. You know, Texas Women's University offers athletic or academic scholarships. That's run through each school, and each school's financial aid and admissions department have their own philosophy. So I can't give you a blanket statement of how much you're going to get. That's per school. You have to talk to the coach, talk to the admissions department to see what they can offer. It's based on your GPA. It's based on your school ranking. So going to school here helps you because the admissions departments now have to rank every high school. We used to use the SAT, ACT as the leveling block. Because of COVID and because of some testing concerns, schools have moved away from the SAT, ACT entrance exams for athletics and in general, but they still have to rank the school. You know, the school where I went in Harrisburg, Oregon, isn't going to rank as high as Punahou School in Hawaii. So the schools have to rank. It helps you being here, and that'll take care of your academic scholarships. Then there's many, many, many non-athletic or school scholarships. These are merit and need based, okay? Federal money. Everybody heard of the FAFSA? Okay, if not, you'll be filling those out. My daughter, thank God, got a little bit of a Pell Grant to UCLA. It was $1,000 a year, and it helped me out because it was based on cost of living, where you are, different things. So we received a federal grant, and that's free. There's community organizations like the Lions Club or Rotaries Clubs, Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, different organizations. They give scholarships. And then there's private ones. I know Coca-Cola does a big scholarship. Ford Motor Company does a big scholarship. There's websites that you can go to that'll tell you all those scholarships, and you may not think, well, it's not for athletics, but you being an athlete helps as part of their evaluation process. They want well-rounded students. They want kids that are athletes, that are in band, that are in drama, that are good students. So those are the different types of scholarship terminology, and it can get very confusing. Hopefully that'll be able to help you out just a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to break down the per sport scholarship amounts, okay? And this is really important depending on what sport you want to play in college. And there's a difference between high school and club and college. For instance, I had setters on my collegiate team who were middle blockers in high school. They had to play middle because they were tall and athletic. They weren't going to play middle for me, but that's what they had to do. So understand the position you might be playing in high school and club may be different than the position you're playing in college. This is very important. Head count sports. This is an important NC2A terminology. Head count means that the school, for instance, women's volleyball has 12 full scholarships. So when you see volleyball on TV, University of Florida, and you look on the sidelines, there's more than 12 girls on the roster. You see 20 kids in uniform. Only 12 of those girls are on an athletic scholarship. Remember the slide before, okay? Only 12 of those girls are on an athletic full scholarship because the NC2A Division I has said that certain sports are head count. 12 volleyball scholarships, and the rule says that if you're on a scholarship, you're ahead. And if you're fully funded at 12, that means I can give out 12 scholarships, 12 heads get a scholarship. So those 20 girls you see on the sideline at Florida volleyball, only the first 12 are on a scholarship, an athletic scholarship. The others may be on different scholarships, but I control the 12 athletic scholarships. And you can see the sports that are scholarship-based. Men's basketball has 13 full scholarships, Division I, their head count. Football has 85 for, they call it bowl eligible, like UCLA. And then championship football, that's like the Division I schools that don't play in the highest level, just in football. For instance, Sam Houston State in Texas is Division I, but they play called 1A football, 1AA football. They have 63 scholarships. So football has 85, basketball 13. On the women's side, volleyball 12, women's basketball 15, and then this is interesting, tennis and women's gymnastics are head count sports. So that gives you a little bit of an idea. Once again, head count, you're either on a full scholarship or you're on your own. Okay, I don't package out academics. If you're brilliant, but I have you on a full scholarship athletically, you don't get to double that up and add bonus academic money. It doesn't work that way. Equivalency sports, these are the partial scholarships. Once again, athletic partial scholarships. These are the partial scholarships that can be packaged with your academics, okay? And with the merit, it's a big package. It's like going to the store and putting together your grocery cart, putting together your shopping cart. So partial scholarships are ones that can be packaged with academics. When I was a Division II coach, that's women's volleyball in Division II's an equivalency sport, which means we package them out. Most of my team, probably 80 to 90% of my team, was on a full scholarship package. So they got a big chunk of academic money, and then they got a little bit of merit money or need-based money through the different various scholarships. And then I topped them off, because I controlled the athletic scholarship, I topped them off with athletic money. So they were on a full scholarship. It was just a full scholarship package. It just wasn't a full athletic scholarship. And once you can see, more sports are equivalency sports than head count sports for NC2A Division I. Once again, we're only talking about Division I. You know, the men's sports volleyball, 4.5 scholarships. It's much, much less than women's volleyball. And on the men's sports also, baseball is an equivalency, soccer, tennis. On the women's side, beach volleyball, softball, soccer. So this gives you an idea. Once again, this is just Division I, how you package out. So if somebody says head count sport or full athletic scholarship, they're talking about the sports at the top, okay? They're talking about those sports. Okay, Division II scholarships, all right? All sports in Division II, and there's a lot of really good Division II schools in Florida, okay? Florida Institute of Technology, Berry, there's a lot of schools up and down the Florida area in the southeast. All of those schools are equivalency sports. And once again, they're partial scholarships that you can package into fulls. And I listed the sports for Division II. For instance, Division II women's volleyball has 8 equivalency scholarships. Division I women's volleyball has 12 full scholarships. Once again, Division I tends to sponsor a little bit higher. But we listed all the sports there just so you can have an idea, and hopefully we reflected it also on the sheets. Division III, once again, no athletic scholarships. You could be an Olympian. You're not going to get us an athletic scholarship at a Division III school. It's against the rules. But you can get all the other scholarships. Once again, academic merit and need-based scholarships are allowed. The schools will roll you through that information, but you're not going to get athletic scholarships. NAIA, okay? NAIA, just like Division II, they're the twin sister Division II, all equivalency scholarships. And once again, you can see the scholarships amount. Men's NAIA volleyball actually gives more scholarships than the NC2A men's volleyball. It's actually friends of mine that played NAIA volleyball got a larger scholarship than I did because of their organization. Same with women's volleyball. Women's volleyball is the same with NAIA, and then they have all those other sports. And then JCs. Once again, JCs has 3 levels of the NJCAA. There's lots of really good JCs in Florida, Texas, the Midwest. One of my players from Puerto Rico, she's actually playing in the professional league right now, and she was on the national team. Stephanie Salas, nickname is Baby. She went to a JC in Texas, and then I recruited her to Louisiana Tech afterwards. So she started in Texas on a full scholarship playing JC women's volleyball, and then transferred to a 4-year school on a full scholarship. So it's a great pathway. So Division I has full and partial. Division II JC, only partial. Division III, no athletic scholarship. So just be aware if you're talking to a JC, ask them what division are they, because you don't want to think, oh, I'm going to get a full athletic scholarship, and they're Division III. They can't do that. They're not being mean. They're just unable to do that. So the NJCAA scholarships, and once again, they're at njcaa.org. That's where you can find all the scholarship levels. For the NC2A, if you Google the NC2A, there's 2 websites. ncaa.com is where you can find out kind of the media information. Lists all the schools, lists all the conferences, has the power rankings for all the sports. So ncaa.com has all the kind of the sport information. ncaa.org are all the rules. That's kind of the nitty-gritty, boring stuff. So if you want to learn about the NC2A, make sure you go to nc2a.com, njcaa.org. Once again, you can see the different levels. Men's and women's sports. Women's volleyball has 14 full scholarships. They actually sponsor better than women's volleyball. The bad news is for us men's volleyball players, they don't offer scholarships. They don't sponsor men's volleyball unless you're in California, then there's no scholarships. Division II, once again, it's by sport. Doesn't include room and board, and Division III, not allowed. And the other governing bodies, the USCAA, athletic scholarships are per school. It can be a full scholarship. I've known some kids that went to a school, honestly, I hadn't heard of. They were part of this organization somewhere in North Carolina. The kid was on a full athletic scholarship. Free money's free money. It's good. And then the NCCAA, once again, everything's per school, per sport. They're outside of the traditional organizations. All right, so that, I kind of rolled through the money part of it. That's the first part, and hopefully that makes a little bit sense about trying to package everything out, how you're going to get money to go play. Sports, is expensive, and then universities on the mainland are very expensive because technically we're all out of state. You know, my alumni status didn't help me at all with my daughter's tuition bill. I got the first bill and almost had a heart attack. I'm like, no, I played here. Don't I get a discount? And they're like, nope. I think they charged me more after they saw my GPA from when I went to school there. So that was the money part of it. Now we need to talk about the eligibility. So there's a difference between, hey, I can play at this level, and can I get in at this level? Obviously, with St. John's here, the academics are very important. That's going to help you. Most of this stuff shouldn't be anything to be concerned about. It's more understanding the terminology, so when you're talking to a coach, you're talking to admissions, you don't feel intimidated. So NC2A Division I, if you're going to play Division I sports, your academic eligibility is determined by the NC2A, not per school, okay? Back in the day, some schools, maybe as an example, Texas football, didn't follow the rules too much on eligibility, all right? So the NC2A took that over. So you will need to register with the NC2A Eligibility Center. If you want to play Division I sports, you have to go to the Eligibility Center. Your school has a code. Every school in the United States and Puerto Rico and the U.S. Commonwealths, they all have a school code. And that code you'll put in, and then you'll submit everything to the NC2A Eligibility Center, and they're the ones that make sure you're legal, all right? Basically, 16 core courses, 2.3 GPA in the core courses. You know, math, science, whatever. You can't take beach volleyball as a core course. You don't need to take the SAT or ACT currently. There's discussions about that maybe changing. And once again, this is just the NC2A. I'm not talking about individual schools. Individual schools may have different criteria. This is for NC2A eligibility. And schools, they can set a higher baseline than the NC2A standard. The NC2A is the bottom. I mean, that is the basic get into the school. Division II, once again, you still have to register for the NC2A. So if you're Division I, Division II, you just do it. I think they charge you $75. They give you an ID number. But when you're being recruited by the colleges, you want to give them your NC2A ID number. That way they know you're serious. They know they're not wasting their time recruiting a kid from Puerto Rico versus a kid from Iowa because you've got your NC2A ID number, so they know you're serious. Same thing, 16 core courses, little bit lower GPA, still no problem with the ACT, SAT, higher standards. And once again, your biggest scholarships in NC2A Division II, they're going to come from academics. So school, even, you know, with athletes, you know, your parents tell you school's important. This is why it's important, because you get a lot of money, not because they want you to be smart. They want you to get a big scholarship. I tried to help you out, parents, but anyways. But school is very important. Even for sports, it's important. Okay, Division III. You don't need to be with the NC2A clearinghouse. It's per school, but get your clearinghouse number. It's $75. You know, it's all online and you have it. It's important to have it. But Division III, like my dad's school, it's just per school, okay? It's specific to that school. NAIA has their own clearinghouse. It's Play NAIA. Once again, Play NAIA. There are some services out there that have kind of partnered with the NAIA where they're trying to get you to register with their service, and then they'll do your NAIA. Don't do that. Just go to playnaia.com. Same thing. You register with them. Academics are per school, but you still have to go through the national organization. Okay. The school determines your eligibility. NJCAA, all you need is your high school diploma or your GED. Once again, Stephanie Salas, I think she came from Bayamon Military, and then she went to the JC because she needed to work on her English. You know, super smart kid, but her English skills weren't up to speed yet, so she started at the JC. And then the other sport organizations, they're all determined per school. Okay, they're all determined per school. All right, so now I've kind of hit you with all of the terminology and all of the kind of the dry stuff, and hopefully it's reflected here on the handout with the different academics, the athletics, and the scholarship. So before I move through into how to manage the process, does anybody have any questions about the terminology for academics and athletic scholarships? No? All right. Oh, wonderful. Yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No, no. So at any one moment, like if you look at the University of Florida volleyball team, they tend to be on team, and there's 18 girls on the sideline. At any one time, one season, 12 of those girls are on a full scholarship. And it could be 12 seniors, but it's not. It usually, in theory, it should work out for, 3, 3, 3, 3. We get a little out of balance in the transfer portal, and there's been a lot of weirdness that has come. But those scholarship amounts, that's on the team at one moment. Yeah, about 3 to 4 year. There tends to be more if there's a coaching change, like a coach got fired, and we'll talk about that a little bit. The nice thing when I played is, and when I first got into coaching, if you went through a coaching change, there really wasn't a lot of pressure to win. The athletic directors and the associate ADs were like, just take your time, graduate the kids through, slowly build your program. Now in all sports, it's come in, cut as many kids as you need, bring in as many new kids as you need. The most extreme was football with Colorado and Sanders, Deion Sanders. He brought in 85 new players. There were only 20 kids left over from a roster of 120 kids the year before. That's the most extreme, but he can do it because it's legal now. So, yeah, it's not 12 new scholarships. It's 12. Or, basketball, it's 13, and that can change year to year. It's become very fluid and even more confusing than it used to be, unfortunately. But that's a very good question. Thank you. So, all right, so we've gone over all of the terminology, all the scholarship stuff, just the way to pay for it, how do you get in school, all the different sports. There's lots of opportunity there, but it does take an emphasis. So now I'm going to talk to you about how do you successfully manage the recruiting process to use sports as a vehicle. Once again, I went to UCLA because of volleyball. I grew up in a town called Harrisburg, Oregon. Had a population of 1,800 kids. My graduating class was huge. It had 40, all right? And I managed to go there because I had to promote and market myself. UCLA wasn't going to Harrisburg, Oregon to recruit. So there's no excuse for saying, oh, I'm on an island in the middle of the Caribbean. I can't go to school in the United States. No, it doesn't matter. I'm on an island even further away in the middle of nowhere in Hawaii, and the kids are going all the time because it's how you market and how you promote yourselves. And are you willing to put in that extra step that some kid from Iowa is not going to do? So recruiting is competitive. That's probably one of the biggest changes from when we were in sports. Is it used to be more organic, but club is everywhere. Every sport has club. Kids are playing more than ever, so you have to understand that you're competing against a student athlete from Nebraska, from Iowa, from Florida. You have a basketball twin out there. You have a volleyball twin, a volleyball brother that you're never going to meet, but they're trying to get your spot. And I know that doesn't sound very nice, okay? Not a lot of brotherly love, but it comes down to, are you willing to do what's necessary so the coach offers you that spot versus Mary from Nebraska? Because you guys are twins. Your skill sets are the same. The athlete that understands it's competitive, those are the ones that are going to be successful. It's a big change that even parents on the mainland struggle with, parents in Hawaii, because we kind of grew up with the older mentality of you play club, you're a good athlete, the coaches are going to find you, it's all going to work out. That was 30 years ago. Now it's hyper competitive. What I suggest that you do is follow GAAS, G-A-A-S. So when you're talking as a family, This is kind of how I've been able to distill 25, 30 years of athletic recruiting, management, support as a player, as a coach, and then with the service that I run is 1G. Geographically speaking, what is your preference, okay? There's a couple schools on island. That's great. Like Hawaii has a couple of schools, but like Hawaii, we're going to have to go to the United States really for our opportunity. So you've got to figure out geographically, where are you comfortable as a family sending your daughter? You want a quick hop to Florida? Great. You can kind of hop back and forth. The flights are quick. You got some family there. Is that okay? Okay. Now, are you comfortable expanding up into the Northeast? Okay. Is that comfortable or not? Okay. Are you thinking, okay, maybe Texas? Can we go into the Midwest? Is that comfortable? Go to California. The earthquakes really aren't too bad. They just kind of shake a little bit. You get used to it. All right. So you've got to figure out your geographic preference, because if you're not comfortable going to school where it snows, then you shouldn't be looking at schools in Illinois and Nebraska and Minnesota because it's too cold. So as a family, the first thing you've got to do, whether you're a freshman or a senior, start to talk about your geographic preference. Okay, where are you comfortable going to school? Even men's volleyball. Okay, men's volleyball has 200 schools. Women's volleyball has 2,000 schools. But men's volleyball is still spread across the United States. You can go to school in California. You can go to school in Illinois. You can go to school in Miami. But you got to figure out your geographic comfort zone. And then the first day, your athletic ability. Athletically speaking, what level can you play at? And this is a big change. In club sports, families like to talk about how their athlete plays up. I see it a lot in women's club volleyball. Oh, I've got a 12-year-old, but she's so good, she's playing 17 open. Okay, great, she's playing up, and families like to talk about playing up. Collegiate sports, you never play up. You always play down. So you have to figure out your athletic ability. If your skill sets as a men's volleyball player are at an NAIA level, okay, great. Okay, you're 6-foot outside hitter, you've got good passing skills, you got good grades, you're going to go to an NAIA school on a good scholarship, you're going to have a great experience, you're going to be all conference, you're going to have a great collegiate and great college education. That's fantastic, but a 6-foot outside hitter is not going to play Division I at UCLA. You can't play up. Now, if you're a women's volleyball player and you're good enough to play at UCLA or Stanford or Nebraska or Wisconsin, you can also play down. You can play down to lower Division I, like at the University of Tulsa. You can play down to NAIA. Maybe you don't want to put in that huge time commitment. So remember, in sports, collegiate sports, you always play down. You never play up. So you have to figure out your athletic ability, and this is where the coaches can have conversations with you, whether it's your school coach or your club coach. If you don't believe them, watch on TV, all right? Do you look like that athlete you're watching on TV? I know that the basketball tournaments come here in the island, right? They have those showcase tournaments, the collegiate ones. If you think you can play Division I basketball, go to that tournament. Do you look like those guys on the thing? Okay, on the women's side, women's professional volleyball. If you think you can play at that level, go to the Guaynabo Mets and see what the Mainland girl looks like who just graduated from Minnesota and is playing pro at 22. Do you look like that kid? So you have to figure out your athletic ability. That's one of the biggest mistakes that we see in the recruiting process is a family and an athlete thinks that they're at a certain level and they're not. And then you're wasting your time and you're wasting the college's time. And then the third point, the second A, is academic interests. Okay? Once again, very important. Academically, and when we're searching out for schools, make sure you're picking schools that have your academic interest. For instance, when I was at the University of Tulsa, it was a small private school, good academics. We'd have kids reach out to us, Coach, I really love your school. I've got family from Oklahoma. We like the size of the campus. I'm going to be an architect. I'm really into the architecture major. Would love to have you. And we'd write back, great, we don't have architecture. Okay, so you didn't do your research. Make sure that you are studying at schools that best fit you. And I understand as a freshman or sophomore, parents, your kids may not know what they want for breakfast versus what they're going to do in college, but you know your kid. Are they a left brain kid or a right brain kid? It was a fun day for them. They're outside blowing up squirrels with their chemistry set, or they like my kid. They like to write poetry and very academically oriented. When I was at Louisiana Tech University, that would have been the worst school for my daughter. She's not a tech kid. She's not a science kid. She's not in any of that. She's into the drama and the reading and writing. So her going to Louisiana Tech would have been the worst school for her. Even though it would have been free for me, that would have been terrible for her. So make sure you're matching your academic interests for your total collegiate experience. And then the S. The S is the one that scares me to death. My daughter at UCLA is trying to convince me she doesn't need to do her homework so she can go watch the new premiere of, what was that? The Hunger Games. Didn't the Hunger Games movie come out with another, kids, you know these things, I don't. Hunger Games came out with a new spinoff. She's going to go watch the premiere in Hollywood. And I'm like, what about homework? But Dad, it's a premiere. This is the social environment that you've got to be aware of. So do you want to be in a big city, big campus with lots of sports and lots of activities going on? Or do you want to be in a smaller campus where the big weekend is, it's October, the pumpkin spice latte's out, okay? You got to figure these things out. But you've got to figure out your social environment, because if you don't want the big city, the big action, whatever, it's overwhelming, then you shouldn't go to a UCLA or the university as second choice. You need to be in a smaller campus. So you've got to figure out the gas. I cannot emphasize that enough. And understanding the recruiting process is competitive. The athletes in Nebraska are not any better than the athletes here, okay? The athletes in Texas are not any better than the athletes in Hawaii. And it's funny, when I do these talks in Hawaii, I talk about Puerto Rico, about how those kids are competing against, there's no bridge from here to Miami. There's no bridge from Honolulu to LA. So you have to compete with the kids that you're never going to see. The other thing is, especially in volleyball, because that's my expertise, and I know it also translates well into basketball, college coaches love Puerto Rican kids. College coaches love Hawaiian kids, all right? College coaches don't really like Puerto Rican parents. No, that's a joke. But they love the Puerto Rican kids. And the reason why is the passion, okay? The enthusiasm, the love of the game. And like the Hawaii kids, you start playing volleyball right out of the hospital. You come home, girls get their ear pierced, and then they start setting volleyballs right away. It's the same thing with Hawaii kids. The sport is culturally so dominant that coaches want those kids because they play with passion, they play with enthusiasm, they're great teammates, okay? But they're a little intimidated because there's no bridge between the mainland and here. So you've got to bridge that gap literally. You have to become the bridge and compete with all those schools on the mainland. So that's kind of general. How do you do it? Okay, this is exactly how you do it to get to the scholarship, to get to the roster spot, to get to that good academic school. First of all, you have to put together your target list, okay? What schools, once again, go through your GAS, and figure out kind of what your comfort zone is, and then put together your target list. Your target list needs to be in the hundreds. The biggest mistake we see with recruiting is we'll talk to families, and I'm like, well, how many schools did you write? I wrote 10. Okay, that's like buying 10 lottery tickets. It's not going to happen. You need to write hundreds of schools. Now, back in the day, and I have a question. Can I ask you a question? Do you know what a VHS tape is? You do. You watch Top Gun with Grandpa on his VHS tape? No? All right, Tom Cruise still looks the same between the first Top Gun and the second Top Gun. And I haven't figured that out, but I need to drink whatever water he's drinking. But back in the day, we sent VHS tapes out and a letter, and you hope that the post office didn't destroy your VHS tape before it got to the coach. Now there's no excuse. Everything's digital. You don't have to buy postage. Nothing's going to get lost in the mail. Put together your target list. Should be hundreds of schools, okay? Second thing is, you've got to reach out with video. If you are not sending video, you are wasting your time. I get hundreds of emails a day as a college coach, And if you don't have your video, I'm not going to write back, hey, Bill, could you send me your video? I'm going to hit the delete button because I've got 50 other videos I have to watch that morning. I watch every single video because I don't know who my next All-American is going to be. And coaches are scared to death of letting that needle slip by us. The needle in the haystack, if that slips by, I guarantee you Texas A&M is panicked that UT is going to get a kid that they missed. I guarantee you that Florida is panicked that a kid's going to go to Florida State that they missed. So we're always afraid of the one that we missed. So we're going to watch every video. It might be 10 seconds or we're going to watch it 100 times, but we're going to watch every video. You don't send me the video, I'm hitting the delete button. So when you're reaching out, has to be a profile and it has to be a video. Then you got to follow up. Coaches are busy, okay? This isn't, not every school is Division I with a secretary and 10 GAs and 10 assistants. When I was at Louisiana Tech, I was a Division I head coach. I had a part-time assistant. It was hard to do all of this, so I missed emails. Don't be afraid to follow up. You're not stalking them. They're not bothering you. You need to follow up until the coach literally writes you saying, stop writing me, okay? Because we're lazy. We're going to hit the delete button. Follow up. Because you don't know, especially right now, for instance, in women's volleyball, this is a little bit of the silly season. We're in November, okay? Coaches are going to start getting fired, all right? Players are going to start getting pushed off because we have our postseason meetings. And the players come in and they're like, Mary, you didn't do too well this year. We're going to push you off. Or Mary comes in for our postseason meeting because the seasons are ending right now for women's volleyball, all right? And women's soccer and men's soccer, all the fall sports are slowing down. So we'll have our post follow-ups, and this happened to me. Mary comes in, she's got tears in her eyes, and we're doing our post-event meeting, and I'm like, Mary, what's going on? And she starts crying, Coach, I miss him so much. I'm going to go home. Boyfriends, okay? Relationships, girlfriends, parents. You think you hate boyfriends and girlfriends? Coaches hate them 10 times as much, okay? You're not alone there. I've had that happen. Kid comes in, she's homesick, misses her boyfriend, she leaves. Now I'm like, oh, I need an outside hitter who I didn't know I needed last week. That's the reason you have to follow up, is because I'm not going to go through my recruiting database. I'm lazy. I'm too busy. I'm going to contact or reply to the person who followed up with me again. So constantly follow up because you don't know what's changing with the college coaches right now with their rosters. So constantly follow up. When you've done that a little bit, then you got to reset your target list, okay? There's many, many similar type of schools. Maybe you need to expand your region a little bit, okay? Maybe you need to go down a little bit. If you write 10 Big Ten schools and none of those Big Ten schools write you back, okay, then you got to go down a little bit and go to a different conference. So we want to retarget. The other thing is absolutely do not panic. 5 to 10 years ago, recruiting was happening stupidly early. The joke on the mainland is the University of Texas staff are in the hospitals in Austin, Dallas, and Houston looking for tall parents who are going to have tall babies, all right? Because they're recruiting super, super, super early. Luckily, that has gone away because of some new NC2A rules and the transfer portal. But what the result is, which is actually good, recruiting is happening later now, okay? When I got into it, you kind of committed as a senior. And then it became sophomore, freshman. Now it's going back to late junior and senior. So that's good. So because you're a freshman, you're not getting any love. Don't worry about it. Keep doing your work. You're a sophomore. Don't worry about it. Doing your work. Even junior. Don't worry about it. The biggest panic that we see in the recruiting ranks are what we call the rising seniors. The kids are going from junior to senior year, and they're panicked because they're not getting any love. They're not getting any response. They're like, oh, this is never going to happen. No, keep working the process. Statistically speaking, the majority of future college athletes find their college home in their senior year. And oftentimes it's spring of their senior year. We had a girl in our recruiting service, a libero, and it's tough being a libero because on the volleyball recruiting it's kind of late. She went to the University of Portland, Division I. She got her spot in late May. And it was constant. And she's a good athlete. She wasn't a slacker. Tatum Issa, great libero. But we worked it, and she found her spot in May. And we kept telling the parents, just relax. It's going to happen, but it's just a different timing. So once again, absolutely do not panic. All right. A couple of just, current things going on. It's kind of funky right now in the NC2A. All right, the recruiting timeline has changed within the last 4 or 5 years, which is good. Once again, just what I was saying, everything's slowed down. New NC2A Division I rules. So once again, we used to be able to write you as a freshman and see you off campus and have you come for our camp, and that's how we were able to get freshmen to recruit and commit to our schools. It's one of the reasons I got out of collegiate coaching. I'm at Louisiana Tech or Tulsa, a mid-major school, and I'm pressuring a kid who doesn't even have their driver's license to come to my school. Okay, that was just way out of balance for me. So the NC2A pushed that back. Other than sending you, once again, this is Division I, other than sending you an introductory letter and camp information, and I want to be really, really clear about camp. Camp is Disneyland, okay? Camp is a volleyball vacation. You should never, ever, 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 ever use college camps as recruiting, okay? That is the biggest waste of your money. Do not go to a college camp to recruit, for recruiting only. I ran camps. Camps are a way for me to supplement my salary. They're a way for me to pay for my assistant's salary. I know in 5 minutes of watching you play whether or not you can play for my team. That's my job. That's all I do. 5 minutes, I can tell you whether or not you're going to play for my team. I can tell you what level you need to play for in 5 minutes. I don't need you to come to camp and spend 3 days on my campus paying $500 for me to recruit you. If you're on a volleyball team, like your question, I got 3 scholarships. I got 150 campers in my elite camp. Do the math. The math is bad. It's like buying the lottery ticket. So if you go to a college camp, you're going because it's great training. You're going to be a better soccer player. You're going to be a better tennis player. Or it's a volleyball vacation, okay? Your families went there. Sooner born, sooner bred. When I die, I'll be sooner dead. That's the fight song for Oklahoma. Can you believe that? Talk about your own demise in your school's fight song. That's hardcore. But you want to go to the camp because your dad went to Oklahoma and your sisters went to Oklahoma. So understand that camp is not recruiting. I can't emphasize that enough. Do not spend the money to go to camps for recruiting. And then the transfer portal. It has gotten so ridiculous that the media now lists what high school you went to, what your first university was, and now your second university. So the transfer portal has become, in a sense, it's become good because it doesn't trap you in a school. But in another sense, it's bad because the grass is greener is not always greener. You jump into the transfer portal, there's no guarantee your next school is going to be better than your current school. It used to just be if you were a fifth-year athlete, you'd already got your undergrad, then you would go you'd transfer to do your graduate school 1 year somewhere else. Now it's wide open. But understand the transfer portal works both ways. As a college coach, it used to be bad for us to cut kids, to push them off. Now we don't cut you. We just tell you to go into the transfer portal. So we kind of push you off through the transfer portal. So understand, the portal goes both ways. And then once again, it's elongated. You need to start the recruiting process as a freshman, sophomore. And it's going to take you year after year after year. And statistically speaking, you're going to find your collegiate home as a senior. That doesn't mean you can come in as a senior. It's going to overwhelm you, okay? It's going to really intimidate you and it's going to stress you out. By the same token, you cannot start as a freshman on a full sprint. It's going to burn you out. But there's a certain process that you have to go through. Once again, you want to use the gas. You want to put together your target list. You want to re-put together your target list. It is a multi-year process. The athletes that we were signing when I was at Louisiana Tech in Tulsa, I recruited those kids for 3 years before they confirmed. And I filtered them and re-ranked them, and kids would drop off, and I'd add and I'd drop. But it was a multi-year process for me, and it's a multi-year process for you. Some of the things that we're seeing right now are the major conference realignments. I have zero enthusiasm at all for UCLA going into the Big Ten. The first time I saw that UCLA was joining conferences with the Big Ten, I thought I was being punked. I thought it was a joke. Nobody wants to see that at UCLA, but it's the realities. So schools are switching conferences. Schools are going D1, or they're switching NC2A to NAIA. Be aware there's lots of major conference realignments and some shifts. And then the other thing is this: name, image, and likeness, NIL. So basically everything that I would have lost my eligibility for and got kicked out of school, and that young lady back there was the same way, everything we would have got banned for, now they make millions of dollars. It's ridiculous. The quarterback for Colorado, Sanders kid, is making $4.5 million a year in the name, image, and likeness right now. That gymnast from LSU is making like $6 million a year. They're signing sponsorship deals. They're getting upfront money. Those rules are about to change, especially in football, because it's become legalized bribery to buy athletes. This, you're going to hear a lot about it, and unless you're in a power conference school in football and basketball, it really isn't going to impact you, okay? The intent of this was if you had a social media following, if you created content, you had a nice personality, you had a big YouTube channel that you started in high school, you could monetize it, which is great. It kind of makes sense. But then it morphed into this something that is kind of out of control right now, and they're going to fix it back up. But it is something, if you're in high school and you're good with the social media stuff and you have a following and you're able through Instagram or YouTube or TikTok or whatever, 10 years ago we had to tell you to kill that channel. We had to tell you, you can't do that. You need to stop that right now. Now, go for it. That's fantastic. But understand that's secondary to being an athlete. You're going to make money because of your athletic background and what you're doing. But please do, if you're good with that stuff, fantastic. I hope you can make all the money that I lost. I probably wouldn't have been a millionaire, but I could have dreamed. I could have done that. So there we go. In closing, and then I'll take questions afterwards. And thank you guys for paying attention and trying to get through a lot of this stuff that can be boring, but it's just part of everything. Once again, USA Collegiate Athletics can be a great experience. I wouldn't have traded my worst day at UCLA for anything. It was awesome. I had a wonderful experience. My daughter's going to school there, which is great. We went to the Rose Bowl yesterday and watched us play terrible against Arizona State, but it was fun to be there. It's such an experience. She grew up with it. The memories I have from my collegiate experience are better than any of my memories on the national team. They're better than any of my memories playing professionally in Europe or on the beach tour. The collegiate memories are absolutely awesome. And I really, really encourage you to try and play collegiate athletics. The social bonds, the connections you're going to make for business, your lifetime friendships that you're going to. I don't remember my high school friends. I remember my collegiate friends. So I really encourage you, even though the mountain may seem kind of steep, please go for it. Please try and play collegiate athletics. Second thing, hope is not a plan. Okay, you can't hope that this is going to work out. You can't hope that playing club sports a college is going to see you. You can't hope that you show up at AAU Nationals, that it's going to work out. You have to be in a position that you have a plan that you're following to be successful. And then once again, you are going to make lifetime and family memories. It's that adage, college is not a 4-year decision, it's a 40-year decision. It's a lifetime decision. My daughter was watching DVDs of me at Grandma and Grandpa's house, and she's like, Dad, you used to be so young and good looking. I'm like, wait, I'm still young and good looking. But she saw me as an athlete, and my nieces and nephews are watching the same DVD, and they saw me, and it starts to expand out like ripples in a pond. So please understand, the collegiate memories that you're going to make, they're going to last your entire life. They're going to go to your kids. They're going to go to your grandkids. They're going to go to your nieces and your nephews. So that is my talk. Does anybody have any questions? Thank you guys very much for paying attention. Yes, sir. Well, I have to be, let me caveat that first. Two things is I used to work for NCSA. I was the director of volleyball for 9 years. And I've got to be careful how I answer that because I also started a volleyball-only recruiting service called Athletic Recruiting Counselors. So I want to be careful how I answer that. There are a lot of services out there, small, big. Some are technology heavy, others are not. I really encourage you to understand what the service provides. When I was with NCSA, they do all sports, which can be a positive. They have great technology, which can be a positive, but they're a massive organization. And for me, I ended up stepping away because it became a little bit too impersonal for how I wanted just my sport of volleyball to be treated. So then after taking sitting out my non-compete, then I formed Athletic Recruiting Counselors with a different philosophy. We're very small, we're very hands-on, and we literally hold your hand through the process because we know all the trap doors out there. I think with whether it's ARC or NCSA or Be Recruited or Captain U, or I think there was a recruiting site called Lemonade Recruiting. I mean, there's a lot of different ones that are out there. It's a toolkit. You have to match what do you expect of the service and what exactly are they going to do for you. And I think I think the biggest thing is the time commitment and your comfort level. And do you have the comfort level to be cutting videos and to be, capturing videos and doing school research and understanding the scholarship loads and understanding what parts of the country? If you have the time to do all that, that's great. That's fantastic. You don't need a service. A service isn't going to do anything magic. They're just going to make things easier and then hopefully better. I know with ARC, once again, we only do volleyball. Our focus was to basically take away the stress and the anxiety because, parents are working, they got multiple kids. I think the services can be good, but I think you need to go in with eyes shut. And I will say probably a third to half of our ARC clients are former NCSA clients because even though there was great tools, they didn't know how to use the tools, and they just didn't have the time. But yeah, there's a lot of services out there, and they can be pretty aggressive too. They can be up in your space pretty fast. Any other questions? Yes, sir. We cheat? No. No, it's 12 or 13 players. So what they do is they package. Okay, you're gonna front load, so you're gonna give your money to your impact players when you've only got 4.5, and you're gonna give them to the out-of-state players, the international players. When I went to UCLA, I was on a full athletic, but because I came from Texas, and I couldn't pay out of state, and my grades weren't very good, so I wasn't gonna get an academic scholarship. And I was just in the gym 2 weeks ago watching them train. I'm like, all 18 guys look like All-Americans. They're just monsters now. But you have to package it out. So you're going to package it with academic merit and need-based. He's got 2 or 3 international guys. They're going to get the bulk of it. But when we've reached the point, and this is also important to note, for the academically elite institutions, if the family have the resources to bridge the gap, for a lot of families, especially on the mainland, it's an admissions vehicle. They know if their kid can be a walk-on and can get into Stanford, they'll pay. They can get into UCLA, they're going to pay the difference. But yeah, it's tough with the equivalency sports because you got to go out of pocket. If you're in-state, it's a great deal. In-state UC system, or at University of Virginia, in-state at Virginia, that's a great deal. But out of state, yeah, it gets a little spendy. So, nothing else. All right, I'm going to stay here for a little bit. So I know you guys have to go study and eat, right, boys? You're dying. You're near death when it comes to hunger with the metabolism. But I'm going to stay for a little bit. I know Coach has some things to say. If you have any questions, I will be here. Happy to answer all the questions I can.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you so much. Thank you. All good. Thank you, Matt. This is just a quick present for us, a humble present for you. Hopefully you enjoy it. Guys, familia, let me tell you something. One of the things that comes straight right after this workshop is the teamwork at home. I believe that it's like he said at the end, if we can do this together at home, will be great. Being part of this journey with the students has been amazing. Every time that we sit with them and talk about it, but at the end of the day, we believe that this process will allow them to discover new challenge in life. And again, the ways we can help them, we are available to help. Hope this help you to understand, to have a better understanding about it. I believe that we're gonna have this workshop available if you have question later. Where is gonna be, Samuel, ¿tú te acuerdas dónde es que va a estar? En Resource, right? Sometimes second guessing give us a better question, right? So we can have another swing to get the information. Samuel, Cecilia, si tienen unas palabras.
I want to thank Coach Matt and also Camacho, Luis Camacho, who is an exemplary leader who cares deeply about our families and our students. So I think this is a perfect match because I see how much you care and I know how much he cares. So thank you, Camacho, you're an inspiration. And all the coaches who are here and all the college advisors, we have a great school because you care so much. Thank you. Thank you for a very inspirational evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Gracias a ustedes por llegarle, gracias. Nada, quedo a sus órdenes. Cualquier otra pregunta, estamos a la disposición. De lo contrario, buenas noches a todos.